is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, you know I took a 2-year hiatus from posting, so don't worry, I'll explain that. If you're new, my name's Sophia and I'm super excited to start telling you about my life and introduce you to today's video. Then if you are a close friend of mine, I'm sorry, I know I already post way too much. So preface aside, today's video is going to be about the things I learned over my 2-year hiatus, why I'm starting my channel again, and I don't know, just some advice that I received over the last 2 years that stuck with me, and it just makes it easier for you. You don't have to spend 2 years with trial and error trying to figure everything out. So here's what I've learned, and here's why I'm starting my channel up again. Okay, the first piece of advice that I have is fake it until you make it. It might sound a little weird, like hear me out, but I have used this skill so many times in my life to get the job I want, to make the connections I want, to look the way I want, to obtain the aesthetic I want, to be perceived the way that I want. Faking it until you make it, or as modern society would call it, LARPing. It helps you start the practices of the person or energy that you want to have or become. And once you start practicing that, it just becomes a habit. It becomes part of you. So I'll give an example. When I was in early high school, I really wanted to be a Brandy Melville employee. I'd watch the vlogs and all that sort of stuff. I want to be a Brandy Melville vlogger. And so I started to dress like the Brandy Melville girls. I only wore Brandy. It was kind of obnoxious, gonna be honest. But I only did that. I started to this is kind of embarrassing. I started to talk a little quieter. I started to act a little bit more like someone you'd see working at Brandy Melville when that was its own aesthetic. And I started to thrift more. I just started to do things that I thought were in line with that, or someone who worked there would do. And then maybe 2 years later, I get a job there and I start vlogging and I get 35,000 views on a vlog that I posted at Brandy Melville, day in the life. And I know that may seem like a very shallow or weird example, but I have so many more. It just took me a long time to really realize it. But I just pretended like I was that thing until I became that thing. If you pretend like you're the most skinny person in the world, well, when you go out to eat, you're gonna start acting differently and you're gonna start to lose weight. If you wanna get a certain job and you start acting like someone who has that job, you're gonna get skills that you would need for that job. That doesn't work in every situation. I can't start acting like a lawyer but never go to law school. I just think that it's helped me make connections that I need to make and get a job at Brandy and just become the person I wanna become. I've even done it with aesthetics. I wanna be someone who dresses like this, acts like this. I wanna be my Pinterest board. I'm gonna start acting and being like that and doing what I think a person in my Pinterest board would do. And that's how I'm going to become the person in my Pinterest board. Again, it doesn't work in all situations and you don't really wanna be ingenuine, but in terms of aesthetics and jobs, I think there's a genuine way to fake it till you make it, or LARP into the person that you wanna be. Okay, number 2, kind of on a similar vein, is your environment shapes your mood and who you are. What that means is if you have a messy apartment, and I know some people are more prone to messiness. I personally think I'm that kind of person. But if you have a messy apartment, if you have toxic people in your life, I was in Seattle and I started to get depressed because the weather just does that. Your environment will truly shape who you are and what you enjoy doing and what you think of yourself and what you think of others. And I think that having a clean environment where you can actually succeed in is really important. And I know that that's not super obtainable. Like I was living in Seattle. What can I do? Change the weather? But there are little things that everyone knows they could be doing better in their day-to-day life. And once you change that, once you fix your environment, you will see yourself grow. For example, I used to never, I'd make my bed, or my apartment would be kind of messy. And I think I'm one of those naturally messy people. But I started to find that when I cleaned my whole apartment, I would study better. When my apartment was fully clean, I could study and I'd retain the information well. When it was messy, I'd be distracted. I'd want to go on my phone more. When my apartment's clean, I eat healthier. When it's messy, I eat a little more junk food. It's a little bit, I kind of match my environment. And that's, I guess, the main thing. You match the environment you're in. If you're around people who act a certain way, you're going to start acting that certain way. You just copy people's mannerisms. And so if they have mannerisms that you don't like, you should stop I mean, I don't want to be like, stop hanging out with your friends if they say certain things, but I think just be conscious that it's going to shape you and that you might want to find people who you look up to. My third piece of advice, and another thing that I think has changed since you've seen me last, is being like everyone else and fitting in is not a good thing. Now you might be thinking like, what are you talking about? Like obviously you want to be unique, but if being successful was easy, everyone would do it. I say that all the time whenever I'm complaining. My mom says that all the time. If being successful was easy, everyone would do it. If you want to be successful, you don't want to be fitting in. You don't want to be like everyone else. You want to be different. And I think that sometimes being different can make you lose friends. I mean, like, I'm not saying be toxic because you want to be better than everyone else, but I'm saying sometimes the way that you move through life has to be different than other people. If you want to be successful, you're not going to be able to say yes to every social obligation that people are throwing at you. I mean, I'm not saying miss people's birthdays. I do think we have a culture right now of like protecting your peace and not being a good friend. And I'm not saying that at all. I think that's kind of a separate thing, but like, you're not going to be everybody's favorite person because you don't have time for that. Like and that's at least for my life, like that's how my life's working. Like it's hard to have a best friend because I only have weekends free. I have a lot of friends, but it's like I can't go out every single day of the week. I can't hang out every single day of the week. I can't answer the phone every single day of the week because I'm working and I'm in school, and I'm doing that because I want to be successful. And people do it in different ways. Like depending on your job, like if you're a model, your time frame is going to be different. You might have more time to be around other people, but there are also things that you won't be able to go to Del Taco every single night with your friends. That's just how it is. Like being successful is not easy. So I think this idea that you want to fit in and be like everyone else, it doesn't really match up with if you're trying to be above average. If you're average, you're fitting in with everyone else. If you're above average, you're not fitting in with everyone else. You're doing something different. I was just trying to fit in my whole time at the University of Washington, just trying to be normal. Like when I'd film a vlog, I'd like try and be as like normal as possible. And I was really just not being myself. I was kind of hiding my personal life and like what I was actually going through. And I think that that's just unnecessary. Main thing I'm trying to say is being like everyone else is not necessarily a good thing. If you don't fit in, awesome. You're already doing something right. Maybe something wrong. Okay, I'm not gonna say everyone who doesn't fit in is doing something right, but utilize that to see how you're different and what you can do with that differentness to succeed above others. Okay, my next piece of advice, or really just thing that I want to tell you guys, is not to be codependent. Now, I was really codependent in my last relationship and even on like friends for my happiness. And I feel like that took away so many of the great parts of me and took away so much of what I enjoyed and like who I was as a person, to the point where when that relationship ended, I had to fully find myself again. And now I'm in a long distance relationship, so codependency is like a little bit impossible. But I know that if that relationship were to end, which hopefully it doesn't, I'd be okay. Like I'm not putting all of my happiness into that person. And I think that you can do it with friends, you can do it with boyfriends, you can do it with like situationships, I don't know. But codependency is a killer. Like it will kill who you are as a person because you're just blending into that other person. You're doing everything with them. You're spending every waking minute with them, or you're thinking about them every waking minute. You find no happiness without them. Well, what happens if they leave? Like I personally don't really think that you can rely on people, only yourself. And even relying on yourself is hard sometimes. I'm not saying don't trust people, but people are unreliable. So why would you put your happiness in something unreliable? Don't put your happiness in anything, even if it's like a sport or like a hobby that you have. You want your happiness to be controlled by you. My next thing is that toxic people equal a toxic mind. I've definitely talked about this in this video a little bit, but when you're around toxic people, like your brain is tainted by the same toxicity that they're giving to you. I've learned that my physical health gets a lot worse when I'm around toxic people. Like my eye bags, I mean, don't comment on them right now, but like everything about me just starts to disintegrate when I'm around toxic people. And like toxic people, like every guy ever is like,
my ex is toxic.
Like I'm not really talking about that. But when you're around people who don't genuinely have your best interests in mind, you will, one, start to kind of become like them, which is problematic, like very ingenuine. And then two, it just like your body will reject that. Your brain will just like, I want to say like melt, because I feel like that's what happened to me when I was around toxic people. I just think like, again, like who you curate your environment around and like who you're with all the time will shape who you are. And if you're around people that you know secretly hate you, like why would you keep them around? Like, because then you're also always thinking about their ulterior motive when you're with them. And I mean, I get it, like there's a certain amount of networking that's necessary when you're working or like if you're in the entertainment field, but you know, I don't think there's any shame in like cutting someone off because you think they're toxic. I did this in high school once, fully disowned a friend. Disowned is kind of a bad way to say that, but like fully just stopped talking to someone, and then they confronted me and I was kind of a dick about it. And I do regret that. Like I was just kind of mean, honestly. Don't be mean if you're cutting someone off, okay? Like there's no necessity to like be like,
you're a toxic person and I hate you.
And you're ruining my life and my mind. Like there's no necessity to do that. You can just kind of make those decisions on your own. And like, obviously if someone is exhibiting toxic behavior, if you confront them about it, they might not respond in any productive way. And so just think like, is anything productive gonna happen for me out of this or them? Just move on. Just set it aside. Don't make the same mistake that I did by like confronting them and having a friendship breakup. Friendship breakups are embarrassing and boring and stupid and no one needs them. Just like grow apart. Just like have them say like, yeah, we grew apart. Okay, my next thing is definitely not a piece of advice, but it's something that's changed over the last 2 years. I am no longer a vegan. I'm coming clean that I eat meat now. I was vegetarian for 9 years, if you didn't know, and then vegan for like 2 or 3. And it served its purpose for the time. Like I lost a lot of weight. I was eating healthy. I learned how to cook, but it just didn't really align with my life anymore. And it took me a while to realize that. I also was getting bruises and it was harder to do it well because I was living not in Orange County where everything's vegan. And also I was like living on my own dime a little bit more, and veganism is expensive. Like, you know, back before it was a trend, it was kind of like, okay, order the side salad and you'll be safe. But now it's like, oh, they only have the Beyond Sausage genetically modified 46 ingredient lettuce that tastes like beef. And so that I just was like really kind of over the processed stuff. It was like veganism went from a sort of whole foods diet to very processed. And so now I eat more whole foods. I eat meat and like kind of a Mediterranean diet, I guess. I saw it not doing what it did for me before. I also think that it was a product of an eating disorder. Like in high school or like even middle school, I could tell my parents like what I wouldn't eat that for dinner. I could only eat lettuce because I was vegan. You know, no pasta for me, sorry, with meat in it. Like I think it made things a little bit easier. And I'm glad that I've kind of overcome that because I think it was a product of my eating disorder. I also just like really felt for the animals back then. I wanted to be a veterinarian and things have changed in my life. I no longer want to be a veterinarian, obviously, because I'm in law school. You know, what works for other people diet-wise may not work for you. What works for other people study-wise may not work for you. What works for other people workout-wise may not work for you. It's good to copycat people if you think like, oh, this will help me, but don't be like upset when it doesn't have the exact same effect on you. We're all built differently. But yeah, no longer vegan, so no more hate about me not eating meat because I do now. The next piece of advice, I keep saying advice, but it's really just like things that I've experienced. The next thing that I've experienced and am taking with me is that you create your own happiness. My grandpa actually told me this. We used to always talk about philosophy, and he was really the only person who would pick my mind about what I believed because I was a philosophy major. So of course I had all these ideas about how the world works, and he would always ask me like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And he said, you create your own happiness. If you wake up and you're like, I want to be mad, you'll be mad. If you wake up and you're like, I want to be happy today, you'll be happy. A psychological example of this is that when you smile, you actually like release serotonin or dopamine or whatever it is. Like your brain actually thinks you're happier when you smile. Don't get smile lines right now. I can see you probably like smiling at the phone. Again, with the fake it till you make it, like if you want to be happy, you will be happy. Now, mental illness aside, because I do get how mental illness can affect people, and like I have struggled with mental illness, so I get that, you know, seasonal depression, like, or just depression in general is not really like an option that you've chosen. But I do think like to an extent you can choose how you're going to face the world and how you're going to be even when you're alone. Like you can choose whether you're going to be happy. And that relates to my last like little number, because I really see that when you vest your happiness in other people, it just falls through. Like when you put your happiness in something, it falls through. At least taking my grandpa's advice, I think you create your own happiness. Like just enjoy your being alive and experiencing, and make yourself like, just think like, I'm happy. I get like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. Like maybe something bad happens at work. Oh my gosh, it's so wonderful that I get to work. I mean, obviously it's difficult to process things like that, but we all get one life, and the odds of you being born are insane. Okay, the odds that this person met this person, had the baby, and like insane. So try and like just experience life being happy, maybe in the faking it till you make it way, because that's how you'll be happier. Smile more, you'll actually be happier. Okay, my next piece of advice might be a little bit controversial, not in like a cancel me way, but in terms of relationships, at least what I learned over the past few years is that when you date someone like you, like obviously there's a lot that you get on about and you laugh at the same jokes and it's a lot of fun, but you might run into the same problems that you find in yourself, in that, like, for example, I'm really stubborn and I can be bossy and I'm a jealous person. And when I date someone who's like that, like, not only do those traits in me come out, but they clash against each other. Like, I honestly think that the opposites attract thing, like, maybe they don't attract immediately. Maybe you don't really, you're like, oh, this person isn't exactly like me. But when someone's not exactly like you, you complement each other. If you're just like putting two similar scents next to each other, nothing, like, you just smell the same. But if you put two different scents, it like adds depth, it adds something interesting. You're both bringing something to the table that the other person isn't. For example, in my current relationship, sometimes I like totally overstress about things. I like hyperfixate and go down these spiraling thoughts about things, you know, anxiety, if you guys have it, you know. And my partner is just the most calm, cool, collected, does not get really anxious person in the world. And so he calms me down. He like compliments my anxious part of me and has made me better at that. And he's like healed parts of me just through being himself. And then I'll bring out things in him too. Like, I think, he's saying I think, so I don't know. I believe that finding someone who has different traits from you, I mean, obviously that you're still attracted to, but like someone who's not exactly like you might be way better than finding someone who's exactly like you and has the same exact thought patterns as you do. Because would you date yourself? I mean, like, obviously it's like,
Yeah, I would date myself. I'm so hot and amazing.
but I don't know, like, do you want to deal with yourself every day again? You already have to deal with yourself once, you want to do it again? Yeah, I think that finding someone that makes you better by being different than you is really important, and it's something that I'm gonna take in all of my future relationships. Hopefully I only have the one that I'm in right now. Yeah, I guess that's not super controversial, but it has proved reliable throughout my experience. Okay, my second to last thing that I learned, and again, this one's like a little bit less advice and more just something that I learned about myself, is that I need to be busy. I'm the kind of person, I mean, maybe it's my ADHD, but like, I'm very go, go, go. And I've learned that that is the best way for me to live, because I don't have time to overthink, right? Like, I'm an overthinker, totally an overthinker. But if I'm busy, I don't have time to just sit and mull things over and get stressed and think about how people are perceiving me and like think about how I'm breathing too. Like, think about everything ever. When I'm busy, I can't do that. When I'm productive, I can't do that. And when I'm planning my day out, like, I have things going on. And if I'm gonna take time to relax, I put it in my schedule. I put relaxing time. Being busy doesn't mean like never taking a break. Your breaks are scheduled. And I've found that law school has been a really great routine for me, a really great scheduled, busy atmosphere where I feel productive and I have to be productive. I can't miss class. Like, when I was at the University of Washington, I missed not nearly every class, but I missed a lot of class. There was no requirement of a certain amount of days being in class. So I honestly, my professors probably all thought I had a terminal illness. Like I just did not show up and I didn't have to. And I kind of like laid around, did whatever I want, wasn't healthy. So I think like having a good routine and schedule is, at least for me, one of the most important things and something that's helped me so much. And like just understanding that about myself, that when I'm idle, like when water is stagnant, that's when it can get contaminated. And I genuinely think that I am like that water. So if you're the same, if you kind of can see yourself possibly being the same, like I recommend that you really get into your routines and start hobbies and make sure that your schedule is full. Even if you're scheduling in like read this book from this time to this time, because that will help you manage your day. And like if you need to get an accountability buddy, I call it accountability buddy because it's your accountability buddy. Like do that. Like sometimes if I have a goal that I actually want to meet, I'll tell someone I know that goal because I know they'll follow up and ask me about it and I want to stay to it. Like if I'm like,
I'm gonna do the 75 hard,
I'll tell a friend I'm going to do the 75 hard so that they can ask me about it later and I'm kind of forced to continue doing it. Or I'll vlog it. Like I've like made TikToks about things that I'm going to do so that I will do them. Whatever it is, like moral of the story, stay busy. If you're like me, don't let your mind get idle like water because it will be contaminated. My last piece of advice, and this one actually is advice, is that you can't know everything about the world, so stop trying. As someone who's been such a reader and so into philosophy, I feel like I'm always having an existential crisis and trying to figure everything out about the world. And it's not a good way to live. It's not a good way to enjoy life. It's almost impossible to enjoy life that way. And it's just not healthy. When I was in high school, someone wrote in my yearbook, like, you don't need to understand everything about the world. And like, we were pretty close, but I didn't really take it, I didn't actually take it into practice. I like went on to study philosophy and French existentialism, which is very, very moody and just only talks about existential crises and human nature. So like my philosophies aside, I think that it's important to adopt this kind of worldview, like that you don't need to know everything because you can't. One, you don't have enough time or resources. And two, like there are a lot of mysterious things about the world. And you can have like a religious belief or, you know, ideology or things like that. But even then there's gonna be like some degree of unknown that you're going to experience. And I think like as someone who's gonna be a lawyer and asking questions, and in a case you really don't like unknowns, it's hard for me to deal with that. And it just consumes my life, which is gonna make me a good lawyer, but it is really difficult when you're trying to make yourself happy. A lot of these French existentialists that I was talking about in philosophy, like their books end so morbidly. And so I think that it feels really good to be intellectual. It feels really good to be like, I'm asking the right questions. The world means something, like I'm gonna get to the root of it. But you know, the world is mysterious. Like we can't figure everything out about it. It's impossible to ask we don't have enough time to ask every question about it. And so like, although it feels good, it's just not, it's not necessary and it's not how you're gonna live a happy life. Like if you're trying to make yourself happy, this is not the way. Like asking every single question about everything is not the way. And I'm still learning that. That's definitely probably of all of these, that's the one I'm like working with most and trying to grow in most. But I'd be interested to hear which one you guys are trying to like work on the most, or if you have something separate that like you're trying to, like a piece of advice you were given that you're trying to listen to. I would love to hear it, but that's mine. And I really just wanted to do this video because I feel like I've changed a lot as a person since I was on this channel last. And it felt kind of wrong to just start posting videos on this channel. So that's my life update, or like really perspective update. And I'm so glad that you're here for the ride. And if you want to hear more from me, these are my socials, or they will pop up in a sec. And I just am so excited that you're here, and I'm hyped to see you in the next video.